Welcome back to the Deep Six Wrestling Podcast. It is Monday, July 25th, once again, 2022. This is the second podcast I'm recording today. I still have to record our review of Death Before Dishonor, so hopefully I can get to that later today or later tonight. We'll see what happens. But if you're joining us, this is our review of Night 5 of the New Japan G1 Climax 32. You can go back, there's a playlist on our YouTube channel, so if you're listening on streaming services, this is an advertisement for our YouTube channel. You can go over and you can find all of our G1 reviews in order from our predictions. Tonight 1 and 2 together, tonight's 3, tonight's 4, and finally here with Night 5, and it will be this way for the rest of the tournament. I will keep this playlist updated. I believe it's pinned to the top of our channel, so when you open up the channel, if you're on our whatever platform you're on, you'll find the playlist for the G1 Climax. So if you're listening on YouTube, be sure to hit the subscribe button, leave a like on the video, leave a comment on what your favorite match from Night 5 of the G1 Climax was. We want to know. Let us know. Give us your thoughts. We'll talk about them on future episodes. So we'd appreciate that. If you're on Apple or Spotify, please consider leaving a review or a rating for the podcast. It helps us get more listeners, which in turn helps us grow, which means more podcast content for all of you listeners. So, please consider doing that. You can also follow us over on Twitter at Deep Six Wrestling, without the G, just Deep Six Wrestling. It ends with N, no G. You'll find us. We're there. You can tweet your thoughts at us, you can tweet at us, you can do whatever you want, but you can follow us and keep up to date when we release podcasts. We are going to jump right on into this here with Night 5 of the G1 Climax. And as per the normal, at the end of the episode, I will go over the current point standings for the G1, as well as the point standings for our predictions challenge that we are currently in the midst of. So, we're going to kick things off with El Phantasmo. Oh, wait, no, we're not going to kick things off with El Phantasmo and Yujiro Takahashi, because I totally forgot what we also normally do here, is I tell you what happened in terms of the results for the undercard tag matches. So, we got to do that real quick. Up first, we have Yoshihashi, Toru Yano, and Hiroki Goto defeating Dick Togo, Sho, and Evil of the House of Torture. Royce Isaacs and Tom Lawler were defeated by Chase Owens and Kenta. Bushi and Shingo Takagi were defeated by Jonah and Bad Dude Tito. That's kind of interesting. Taka Michinoku, Zack Sabre Jr., and Lance Archer were defeated by Aaron Hanare, The Great Okan, and Will Ospreay. And David Finlay, Tama Tonga, and Kazuchika Okada defeated Gato, Juice Robinson, and Jay White. Alright, that brings us to our first match of the night, which was El Phantasmo versus Yujiro Takahashi with some D-block action. Prior to the match, Phantasmo and Yujiro have an exchange where the Tokyo Pimp literally offers El Phantasmo a night with Peter if he lays down for him. Phantasmo appears to agree, and Peter kisses him on the cheek, and the two men shake hands. ELP lays down, and Yujiro goes for the cover, but El Phantasmo rolls him up for 2. Takahashi kicks out, and then we get lots of roll-up attempts here with Yujiro getting out of them all. Back rakes and a cartwheel into a basement dropkick in the corner land from ELP as the two head to the floor. A Pimp Juice DDT lands from Yujiro, and we get a very over-the-top countout with Phantasmo getting back in at the last second, preventing the third countout finish of the tournament from happening. We have had We had Jonah losing to Yano, and we had Bad Luck Fale beating Lance Archer by countout. So this would have been 3. After this, Yujiro drops ELP with another DDT back in the ring. He prevents the sudden death from landing as he sends Phantasmo into the ropes and drops him with a flapjack across the top rope before landing his Fisherman Buster for another 2 count. A Brainbuster lands from El Phantasmo to cut off Yujiro's offense, and he lands a huge last ride powerbomb for a 2 count. We have an impressive UFO here from Phantasmo, but he only gets a 2 count. And then we get a very well done low blow from Yujiro as he nails ELP in the dick while he is kicking out. It was just well executed. College Slam for another 2 count from Yujiro. The Pimp Juice gets just a 2, so we get a kick out. This is the second Pimp Juice of the match, and ELP kicks out. Last second here. Sudden death lands from ELP, but Show runs out to prevent a second one as Yujiro then goes for the wrench. He gets the wrench from Show and goes for the shot, but ELP prevents it and then tosses it to Yujiro and pulls the Eddie Guerrero. While the ref's distracted, he punches Yujiro Takahashi right in the dick, then suicide dives out onto Show and then follows up with the Thunder Kiss 86. El Phantasmo pins Yujiro Takahashi and wins his first match in the G1 Climax. El Phantasmo moves to 2 points. Yujiro Takahashi sits at 2 points, and then after the match, El Phantasmo dances with Peter by the ring, and he leaves with her as she teases the camera. And we then got a follow-up in this backstage in an interview with the two, as ELP asked if Peter knew what consent was. She said yes. She then asked what ELP means. He whispered in her ear, and the two went off together, presumably for a night of wholesome fun. This match was not anything special, but it was fun enough, I will say. I thought it was perfectly fine, and I think the right man won. If Yujiro had beaten El Phantasmo, I would have been pretty upset. And the closing moments here from Yujiro getting that nice low blow kick out to ELP's big babyface comeback at the end, thought it was pretty solid. So this was far from terrible. After this, we would get SANADA versus Taichi here in B block action. Oh boy, this match. I don't really think this was a match I was looking forward to that much, to be honest. I really love Taichi. SANADA's hit or miss for me. So, the two of them together, I'm sure it was going to be good, but I didn't expect it to be as great as this ended up being. Taichi just dominates to start here, locking in whatever an All Japan style abdominal stretch is. I don't watch All Japan, so I don't know what the difference between a regular abdominal stretch and an All Japan version is, but he does that. SANADA comes back with a drop kick to cut off the offensive run from Taichi. A deep arm drag allows SANADA to send Taichi to the floor to set up for his plancha, which does in fact land. Suplexes from both men fail to land back in the ring, but a hook kick does for SANADA before Taichi comes back with a lariat to take him down. He then takes his pants off. The skull end gets looked for, but Taichi fights out with a throat hold to break the submission. SANADA climbs up to the middle rope and comes off it, but Taichi catches him with a strike right to the throat for a near fall. The Black Mephisto gets looked for, but SANADA escapes and an enziguri lands before SANADA lands an elbow and a tiger suplex for 2. Back suplex from Taichi gets a 1 count. SANADA just fires up out of this, and both men then fall down as the crowd gets firmly invested. SANADA up onto the middle rope, and up goes Taichi with him. Taichi grips the throat and goes for an avalanche chokeslam, but SANADA flips out of it midair. The O'Connor roll gets 2 for SANADA, and then the TKO lands for another big near fall. The skull end gets locked in, but Taichi doesn't fade. SANADA goes up for the moonsault. Taichi gets the knees up, and a fairly thrilling exchange of just clutch pin attempts here for both guys. Get a bunch of near falls. We get the Kawada kicks from Taichi and an axe bomber to the back of the head. Black Mephisto gets looked for again, but SANADA gets out and gets the O'Connor roll in, and SANADA wins. SANADA wins, moving to 2 points, while Taichi sits at 2. I thought that this exceeded expectations. This was, how long was this? This was 16 minutes and 9 seconds. This did not feel like it. The first couple minutes, I guess, felt a little, Slow, but once these two got into this and the crowd got into it, this was excellent. I thought these two had some really great chemistry here, some great counters for one another. Very physical matchup. I thought SANADA looked, better than normal. He looked motivated. Taichi in the G1, I feel like he always delivers some really great matches. So I appreciated this pairing. I enjoyed this from top to bottom, and I would definitely recommend checking this one out. I typically feel like since we have four tournament matches, I typically do like the two must-watch matches if there's two really good ones. This is one that I would say go out of your way to watch 100%. Bad Luck Fale versus Jeff Cobb. I can confirm I was not looking forward to this match, like whatsoever. Bad Luck Fale just owns Jeff Cobb to start this match. Cobb plays the underdog, which is a very interesting dynamic, with how Cobb has been portrayed over the last year and a half in New Japan. He eventually fires up with some lariats and a big drop kick to stun Fale, but the underboss just elbows his lower back and then drops an elbow and cuts him off again. Fale dominates some more. He sets up for the grenade, but Cobb gets out and decks him with a forearm to the face, though Fale just tanks it and then splashes him in the corner before looking for the bad luck fall. Cobb slides off and nails a super kick, a vertical suplex, and then a very impressive tour of the islands. I will say seeing Cobb vertical suplex Bad Luck Fale and then follow up with the tour of the islands right after, very impressive, visual. Jeff Cobb moves to 2 points. Bad Luck Fale sits at 2. This isn't one that I would say you need to go out of your way to watch. This was definitely the weakest match of the card, in my opinion. I'm sure to some, maybe it was Yujiro and ELP, but I enjoy El Phantasmo as a wrestler, and I thought the antics between the two guys was fairly fun. This just really did nothing for me besides the ending. So this isn't a match that I would actively recommend you go seek out. But I mean, if you're a Jeff Cobb fan, maybe you want to see what else he can do, or if you're not a Jeff Cobb fan, maybe you want to see him play a different type of role. You want to see him play underdog babyface, having to try and come back and outpower Bad Luck Fale. It's not a very thrilling match. It's not a terribly long match. At least I don't think it was. Let's see what the actual time is. Yeah, 7 minutes and 13 seconds. So, not really a anything to write home about. I understand why Bad Luck Fale and Yujiro and Yano are in the tournament. I do. I understand the logic, but when you expand the tournament to 28 people, you could have used some of these spots to get some other names in here. Impact had no representation. You could have tried to get an. I mean, AEW is dealing with a lot of injuries, so I don't know if you could have gotten anybody from AEW, but you could have gotten some more outsiders. I feel. I don't know. I just don't really care when Bad Luck Fale wrestles. I can't really think of any of. For the rest of the tournament, I don't think there's another match I'm looking forward to for him. I was excited. No, I wouldn't say excited. I was cautiously optimistic for him versus Lance Archer, and I thought they had a fairly fine match. I'm not looking forward to seeing his match with Jeff Cobb. I'm not really anticipating anything great with Jonah. I don't know what he is going to do with Tom Lawler, or I should say, I don't know what Tom Lawler is going to get out of Fale. Not looking forward to Okada and Fale. Not looking forward to Yano and Fale. Yeah, so we'll see. I will say I am looking forward to Jeff Cobb's rest of the tournament. He does have to face off against a number of other people that should be interesting, including who else has he got? He has Lawler that he has to face. He has Jonah. I don't know the order of these, but he has Lawler. Lawler and Jonah should be pretty good. I'm also interested what him and Lance Archer can do. So hopefully Jeff Cobb can have a good rest of the tournament, because he kicked it off really well with Okada, and then he had this not so great match with Bad Luck Fale. Anyways, enough of that rambling. Let's get on to the main event. Hiroshi Tanahashi versus Tetsuya Naito. That's what everybody's here for. I will say that I think I don't exactly recall, but I'm pretty sure I gave this my 2020. This was in contention for 2020 for one of my matches of the year when these two met in the 2020 G1, I think. Um, I might have given it to the Young Bucks versus Omega and Page, but I think this was up there when we got Tanahashi versus Naito in the 2020 G1. Unless I'm crazy, but I feel like this was 2020. I'm going to check here. So bear with me real quick while I'll do a little bit of research. Versus Hiroshi Tanahashi. Cage match. Alright. Let's see. Please tell me I'm right in these two faces in the 2020 G1. Yes, it does. I do believe that they did. Yes, G1 Climax 2020. I believe this was night 1 or night 2 of the tournament that these two faced off, and I thought this was an incredible match they had. So I was looking forward to this. So let's get into this. Tanahashi comes out with a purpose here, wanting to get the best of Naito, who he's just really looking to out-wrestle to start this match. We even get a Tranquilo pose after a diving crossbody for a fun moment from the Ace. Naito then heals it up for a bit after this taunt, targeting the eyes and the face of Tanahashi to try and get a comeback before nailing a dropkick to the back of the head while Tanahashi is hung up on the ropes. Down on the floor, Naito just launches Tanahashi into the barricade as hard as he can before dropping Tanahashi with a neck breaker and locking in some type of neck-based hold on the outside until the 19 count is right there, and then he puts himself and Tanahashi back in the ring before going back into the hold in the center of the ring. Tanahashi, I will say, I do like this match. Both show, like, I don't think we're going to get like a proper heel Tanahashi, and Naito is so beloved by the fans, but this match really showed that both guys can wrestle fairly, not fairly, that's not a word, fairly, or very, I guess, very well as, methodical heels, just breaking down their opponents. So I do appreciate that. I really love when Tanahashi brings that side of himself out. I really do, and we'll get to that later. Tanahashi sets up a flipping senton, but right here actually, as I'm looking at my notes. So Tanahashi goes for his or sets up for the flipping senton in the corner, but goes a bit more methodical, faking out and attacking Naito's bad knee before going to town with a dragon screw. Naito does get out eventually and fights out with an atomic drop and the combination cabron, but it takes some time to continue on from this offensive streak with the damage that Tanahashi did to his knee. Gloria lands for 2 as Naito goes back into the neck-based submission holds. The elbows then come down as Naito weakens the neck, similar to how he did for Goto earlier in the tournament, trying to set up for Destino on Tanahashi's brutalized neck. At the 15-minute call, the Super Rana lands for Naito, but Tana fires back before eating a spine buster. Naito finally looks for Destino, but Tanahashi counters with a perfectly timed dragon screw as both go down. A strike exchange breaks out between both men as the two just unload with elbow strikes in the center of the ring. Tana gets the better briefly as Naito then fires back before Tanahashi comes back once again and finishes it off as the two stare down. We have a brief break here where they just face off and the crowd just claps very loud for them. And they just come back once again, unloading with elbows to each other's faces. Naito gets the elbows to the neck and then enziguri to break it up. We have a trio of sling blades that land for Tanahashi, but Naito kicks out as the Ace goes up high. Ace's high connects, and he goes for the high-five flow, but Naito rolls out of the way and goes for a roll-up, but only gets a 2. Inside cradle, Hiroshi Tanahashi wins. This was a very good match. I don't think this was as good as their 2020 match in the G1, but I still thoroughly enjoyed this. In terms of what was my match of the night between this and SANADA and Taichi, part of me wants to go SANADA and Taichi just because I wasn't expecting that from them. But I would definitely say to go watch this too. Those are the 2 must-watch matches from this night. You'll enjoy both of them most likely. I feel like any sane person with 2 eyes would enjoy it. It's just really great wrestling. Hiroshi Tanahashi moves to 2 points. Tetsuya Naito sits at 0. A very bad start for Naito in this G1, and it's going to be extremely hard for this man to come back. As somebody who chose Naito to win the entire tournament, I am feeling a bit nervous with this happening, especially because he does have Sabre on his last day, so that's going to be a hard one to overcome, and I can easily see Zack going to the semifinals. So breaking down the current block standings coming out of Night 5, Okada leads A block with 4 points. Toru Yano, Jeff Cobb, and Bad Luck Fale have 2. Lance Archer, Jonah, and Tom Lawler have 0, though, to be fair, Tom Lawler has not wrestled a tournament match yet. So that's fair enough. B block, Jay White leads the pack with 4 points. Taichi, SANADA, and Tamatanga have 2 points. Tomohiro Ishii, Great-O-Khan, and Chase Owens have 0 points. Then we head over to C block, where Zack Sabre Jr. is leading the block with 4. Aaron Henare, Hiroki Goto, and Tanahashi have 2. Tetsuya Naito, Kenta, and Evil have 0. And last but not least, we head to D block, where things are much more close, where Yoshihashi and Finley are the only 2 without points. Shingo Takagi, Will Ospreay, Juice Robinson, El Phantasmo, and Yujiro Takahashi all have 2 points. So, that is the current standings for the G1. I will give our updated scores for our predictions challenge before going down the preview of the next night of action. So, as things stand coming out of night 5, Joey and Sam finished with 2 points. Myself, Angelo, Ryan, and Rob finished with 3 points, which now leaves our standings with Joey and Sam tied in last place, which is technically second place, with 10 points, and myself, Pat, Rob, Ryan, and Angelo all tied with 12 points as we head into the next night of action. So, that's where we're at. Still anybody's game here, and in terms of the actual G1, still anyone's game, so we'll see how this plays out as we head into night 6, which is tomorrow. When I'm recording this, by the time you're listening to this, it might already be July 26th or July 27th. Who knows when you're listening to this? But we're heading into the next night of action. I'm not going to go over the undercard tag matches. The tournament matches for the event are the Great-O-Khan versus Chase Owens in B block. This will be the Great-O-Khan's first match in the tournament. Chase Owens has already lost one. And obviously these two have issues from the past over the IWGP Heavyweight Tag Team Championship. So they have met before. Kenta versus Evil in a Bullet Club versus House of Torture match here. In C block, Kenta is 0-1 in the tournament so far. Evil has not wrestled, and they have a singles record of 1-1. A block, Tom Lawler has his first match in the tournament, taking on Lance Archer. Lawler is 0-0. Lance Archer is 0-1. These two have never met in singles action before, so there's a first-time ever matchup. And last but not least, Juice Robinson takes on David Finlay in D block, and that is the main event of the show. This is coming after Juice Robinson shocked the world and beat Shingo Takagi on night 1 in a bit of a lackluster main event. I thought the actual match itself was good, but the finish fell very flat. So hopefully Juice and Finlay can get something going here. For what it's worth, the singles record between these two men is 3-0 for Juice Robinson. So take that as you will. But that is the card for tonight's show. So looking forward to it. I think should be. Chase and Great-O-Khan could be good. Kenta versus Evil, we'll see. Lance Archer versus Tom Lawler is a very wild card matchup. I have no idea what this is going to be like, so I'm actually very intrigued by that. And Juice versus Finlay in the main event. These guys were a tag team. They know each other very well. I'm kind of looking forward to this one, to be honest. It's not the implosion of the Mega Powers exactly, but it should be a good time. So, that about does it for this episode of our G1 coverage. Be sure to subscribe to the podcast wherever you're listening to, whether it's on a podcast streaming service or if you're over on YouTube. If you enjoyed it, be sure to leave a like or a rating. If you're on YouTube, please leave a comment. Let us know what your favorite match of the tournament has been so far, or specifically this night for Night 5. Let us know who you think is going to win the G1. Just give us your updated thoughts, whatever you want to do. If there's anything you're looking for us to specifically cover more of, please feel free to comment that as well. We currently cover New Japan with the G1 Climax. We have weekly Impact reviews. We try to cover AEW. We just started covering WWE SmackDown again for the first time since 2019. We've covered Stardom in the past. I'm down to do more Stardom content. We're going to have a review for Ring of Honor, so we can do a bunch of stuff. So if there's anything specifically you're looking for, feel free to comment down below, and we'll take it into account. Thank you for listening to this episode of the Deep Six Wrestling Podcast. I've been Pat, and I'll talk to you in the next episode, whenever that may be. So until next time, thank you for your support, and goodbye.